Welcome back.
Hello. I don't know. The video is looking weird to me. I think it's just too high.
Are you talking to me?
I'm talking to every one of you guys.
Okay.
And I don't have a light pointing in my face, so I'm gonna have under eye circles, and you're gonna have to live with it, bitch. I don't know what to tell you. It's getting real up in here.
They dropped the YouTube video and go to Apple Podcast instead.
They're like, oh shit,
Yeah,
stop it,
what
bitch.
the
Like,
fuck?
holy fuck, where are the warnings? Like, how about a trigger warning? How about a trigger warning? Under eye circles,
Ugly ass bitch alert.
tear troughs.
You should have seen me. And then you would really need a trigger warning.
Actually, on the topic,
Of ugly
what
ass.
even topic is that?
Okay.
No. Hot ass bitch with under eye circles. That's what it is. But listen, someone within the same day, I got 2 comments, okay? On my main channel. I already told my assistant about this, and I told my mom about this, and both of them cry laughed basically because this is ridiculous. But
You actually can't unsee
so 2
it.
different comments.
You can't unsee it.
You can't. You can't. I'm gonna have to put pictures up on the screen just so you guys don't have to Google it and you have like this image in your head, okay? First, I get one comment. Someone's like, "You look like Diane from Train Spotters," right? That's the name of the movie.
Train
whatever.
spotting? Train spotters? Train spotting.
Train
Or
Spotting.
train spotter. Oh, now
Is it the Irish movie,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's one of the Irish movies,
With,
whatever.
Ian
you get it.
McEwen or whatever his name is. Anyways,
Ewan McGregor.
why did I say Ian McEwen?
Ian McEwen is crazy. Ewan McGregor and Ian McEwen is insane.
Dude, I'm actually deep fried in the brain. I'm so sorry, guys.
Do you guys like this is just an example of how bad we are at celebrity culture. Like, we know what's going on, but we forget about it because it's like not like essential to our lives, you know. We like to talk shit. Don't get me wrong, we're not above that. But do we forget
Ian
everything?
McEwen,
yes.
Louis Dewey Stewie. Like, what is wrong with me?
She said Dr. Seuss. So they're like, "You look like Diane," and I'm gonna put the picture up on the screen. The dress, slayful, crazy, wanted in real life actually. Now, immediately after, I get another comment, and it's just like the universe balancing itself, just so I don't get a big head, you know. First, they're like, "You kind of look like this hot girl," and then the next comment I get is, honestly, first of all, it's in Spanish, I think, and I had to translate it to get insulted. So the comment is, "You look like young Sheldon." Young Sheldon? You mean a 10-year-old? A 10-year-old boy, you mean?
Hey, at least he's a boy genius.
This is insane. I had to take a moment. You know, the worst part is that I kind of see it.
It's like they're not wrong. They're not wrong.
They're not wrong. It's not like they were completely off base. Because you know what? Sometimes I get a comment of someone being like, "You look like this person," and I look her up, and it's a woman who's like literally like very tall and blonde and has like this like like this facial structure that has nothing to do with mine. And I'm like, okay, you're crazy.
But young
you know?
Sheldon, though?
But sometimes people are.
But young Sheldon, though.
And you know what? It's so fucking dry in Calgary. I know this is a crazy transition, but it's so fucking dry in Calgary that I am literally, like, when I'm smiling, I can see lines because, like, it's just so fucking dry. And I'm just sitting there like, wow, to be a 10-year-old boy with wrinkles is exactly what I wanted. Well, exactly what I was gunning for. This is exactly what I wanted, actually. This is the ideal look, bitch.
Put, in the comments, put your best hydration, skincare products. I need to know too.
Yes, for really dry climate.
We're
you're
really
not in a
dry
climate.
Why did you have to linger on "we're really dry"?
No. You're really dry climate tips.
Okay.
I didn't say we're.
Yeah. Give us.
Because first of all, you're not in a dry climate. Just saying.
Oh, okay, girl.
Yeah, Vancouver is
It's pretty
high humidity.
Yeah. I know, but I just have dry skin.
Yeah. But
No,
but but Calgary is insane.
sorry.
Calgary literally will like dry you up.
Ugh.
Okay. I didn't like
You
I
get all
didn't like
shriveled
that.
up. Ooh.
Ew. Mine is dehydrated for sure. I definitely need to go to like salons or something like that, but bitch, um who's gonna pay for that? Respectfully. It ain't gonna be me.
And an anchor.
Cause I just spent all of my money on my dog's surgery. She well, at least the surgery went okay. Actually, you know what? Hopa has a murmur now.
A heart murmur?
Hard murmur. Yeah.
No. Hey, at least she's in a cute
And
little
then
onesie now. Insert photo.
yeah, and before the surgery they were like she has a murmur, so anesthetic can be like bad for her.
Mm,
And I was like, the fuck do you mean, dog?
I hate that.
And they were like it's higher risk basically.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know if I want to give you
But how are they gonna do it?
my
How are
dog.
they gonna do it without anesthetic though? Because
They basically had to use like a different
oh, like
type,
a local numb.
and they were like, we're gonna monitor her and like monitor her blood pressure and everything, but we're just letting you know that any dog that has a murmur, like, it's gonna be a higher chance
Oh,
of like bad surgeries or whatever the fuck. And I was like, well, I don't really have a choice. It's not like she's doing a fucking facelift.
yeah.
Like she's doing she's doing a procedure she needs, you know? It's not like I'm just like it's not like we were both like fucking around and she's like, I'm in my 50s human age, so I gotta get my face redone. You know, it's not like something that she's just doing for shits and giggles. She has a lump that's cancerous, like we need to take it the fuck out, you know? So there's like no choice
Yeah.
there. But she's doing good. I don't know what kind of cancer it is. They're gonna send they are sending it to the lab and it's gonna take like a week to 2 weeks to find out. I hope that it's just one of those that you cut out and forget about.
Yeah.
It is common for everyone to get a lump here and there that you can just cut out and forget about it. So I'm hoping that it's that and not something fucked like I had.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for now, I'm choosing not to get upset because after my cancer, I decided that, you know what, I will give myself delusion until you can't deny it anymore. You know what I mean?
I thought you were gonna.
Because there's no point in.
I thought you were gonna say. So for now, I'm choosing not to go to the spa because you had to pay for Hopa's surgery.
Oh yeah. No, this is not a choice. Actually,
Yeah, it's
you
actually
know what?
no.
I got no moolah. It's all been spent, and yeah. And Pika, I hate leaving her with the doctors, like with the vets. I mean, I know that they're like it's gonna be fine, everything. Well, at least it's most likely gonna be fine. But every time I do it, I'm like, she relies on me. She trusts me, and I leave her
Get
there,
me in there.
You know, like I'm like,
let me put on some
Yeah.
scrubs and I'll do the surgery.
yeah. Do it on me, bitch. Like honestly, because I just feel like such a traitor. Every time I leave her, I'm like, fuck me, actually. How dare you? And like I know that I had to do it. It's like not like that I'm just like doing it for shits and giggles, but at the same time I'm like, how dare you? She trusts you. She looked you in the eye when you were leaving and said bye-bye, and she was like, damn, you really did that to me. Damn, like I didn't think that you would do such a thing. You know, like I can see it in her eye, her being just like, that's fucked, actually.
Yeah. After everything though,
And it's not like I can explain it to her, you know.
After
Like I mean,
everything?
I do it anyway.
Yeah, oh no, I mean
talk to
after
her, I'm
everything,
like,
she should know that we're
"Baby, I gotta."
untrustworthy hoes.
I think that she's like so tired of me. She's like in a Stockholm syndrome situation here, you know. Like she's like, I love you, but like I'm pissed about it.
Yeah, it's like you bring me to this fucking monster.
You put me in a kennel.
You put me on a plane.
Kennel to drive me, not drive me, to fly me from Vancouver to Calgary. That was scary as shit, and that was fucked up actually. And thank God, like you know what? She loves my mom now though, because my mom only does the good things. You know, my mom gives her food because she feeds her when I'm still asleep. You know, she started to feed her earlier, so now she's the feeder. Now my mom is the person who picked her up from the airport after this scary experience where Lisa shoved her into the kennel, you know? like my mom is a savior, my mom is a feeder, my mom is everything that Hopa loves, and I'm everything she hates. I bring her to the vets, I send her over to Calgary, I'm making her go mostly doing things that she doesn't want to do, like cut her nails and stuff like that. So she's like, fuck you, actually. You're kind of fucked up for that. I don't know what's wrong with you, Ho. I don't know. But like you keep like this is strike 15 at this point.
Anyways, transition.
Today's topic, it's not history related, not art history related. It's more related. Oh, actually no, it is. It's our art history.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about our well, the thing is, the way that I pitched it to my assistant was like, oh, we're going to talk about our first artworks. But in reality, what I want to talk about is more like our first endeavors into the art world where we actually tried, and we finally got over the hurdle of like not quite getting what conceptual art is all about. Because I feel like some of my first artworks, not even the ones that I did in university, but the ones that I did to get into university, because I applied for sciences and I applied for media. I didn't apply for arts, I applied for media. I don't even know if we have that department anymore. Do we?
I don't know either.
The media
Yeah, I
department?
feel like it's gone.
Because I know the visual arts department in UBC is like old as shit, but I don't know about the media department. I know that it was the first year they were getting media people in.
Yeah.
Like specifically like art, but media related or whatever, like journalism kind of thing. I got into the arts department and I got into the science programs that I wanted to go into, but I didn't get into the media program because like I just don't think, honestly, now I understand that when I was applying back then, I don't think I understood conceptual art at all, but I was aiming for that. I wasn't ever trying to just be like hyper realistic painter or something like that. Like I never tried to be just skill based. I always wanted it to be like coming from a concept, but I did not get what a good concept is at all.
Yeah. Well, I also didn't do arts right away. Like I did poli-sci, and then I went into arts after. Like I transitioned into arts, but I still did a minor in poli-sci or a field in poli-sci. But I remember because I actually went into it doing it because of my technical skills, because I was painting, like a pretty good painter and stuff like that. So I had no idea. I was like, okay, I kind of get what it is, but in my dumbass brain, I'm like, oh, okay, I put something like on paper, I paint something on canvas, and I have to make a metaphor for it. Like that's how my brain was.
That was honestly it.
Yeah,
like I had like a very one-to-one kind of idea of art, and I feel like that's why I have like such a weird love-hate relationship with metaphors. And I think that honestly everything is about like signifiers and signified and whatever the hell, right? Like we can't escape symbolism in general in artworks. That's why I always kind of hated when professors were like, this is too symbolism to get a good grade or something like that. And it's like, okay, but everything is, though, if we really break it down. This girl, for example, making a painting that's on top of a canvas that's shaped like a door to coffin, like that's also very heavy-handed and symbolism coded, like not even coded, just symbolism straight up. So it's like you can't tell me that my symbolism is more heavy-handed than that, bitch. Like this was so heavy-handed. So I always kind of had a very love-hate relationship with it, because it's kind of coming down to whether the metaphor feels right. Like sometimes it's what it comes down to, and it's just so frustrating because I usually really want to, I don't know, because there was like a really big transition for me in first year of university, and I think that I have finally got into my own in terms of knowing where I'm going with my art in maybe third year. Because second year was so technical, so tech heavy, that I did not have any time to think about how, like, what I want to make. It was more like, fuck, I need to finish this 8 prints on this massive ass print machine, not machine, but what is it called, like print, is it a machine?
What do you call it? Screen thing or screen print. I know what you mean. Dude,
It's a tool. I wouldn't call it a machine. Maybe it's like kind of like old school machine where you literally have to
roll
roll
it.
it
Yeah,
through.
I remember that.
Yeah. And like relief prints and other things like that. Like we had to do a bunch of prints, and they're so technical. You have to learn how to carve on the wood and then carve on metal, and you have to do all this shit within like 3 months.
Yeah. Did you do sculpture? That was such a bitch. Year 2 was like, for me, it just felt like, man, how much money am I gonna waste this class? Like, it was just like,
Dude,
it's so
second year was
expensive.
so bad for me
Yeah,
financially.
it was the
So bad
worst.
for me financially. Like seriously, if you're going into arts, just prepare. Keep your money for second year, because just prepare. Second year is gonna literally fucking
Yeah,
bankrupt you.
start
But
saving
because
it for
it was so
before.
bad. I didn't do sculpture. I did photography. Like I did photography, all the
Yeah.
courses. So it was like 3 courses or something like that, and one of them was film photography, and that literally drove me to the fucking edge. I
Yeah.
swear to God, the camera didn't even cost that much. The camera was like $100 or
The
something like that. I got like
developing.
an old Minolta. The developing, bitch. The developing. And the thing is, like, we had to do it all ourselves, obviously, because we had a lab and everything, which is better than paying. I guess it's better than paying a lot to get it developed, but then at the same time, the type of film that we were
Yeah.
buying, which is like, I'm pretty sure it's like Ilford or something
Yeah.
like that. And then same with papers. The fucking 10 sheets of paper that are not even that big would be like $40.
Dude, the paper?
10 sheets of paper. And you have to do testing. I don't think that people understand how tedious printing old school is when everything is so fucking expensive, because like it costs so much to just, not a lot of people use film anymore to compare to back in the day, so it became a lot more expensive, and also just like we're just idiots and we made everything more expensive.
Yeah. But I remember like
it was so frustrating.
buying paper for prints, like when you had to do reliefs or any other, like not film but like print making.
The
It was
printmaking,
so
yeah.
like it was like $10 per paper, maybe more than that. I was like,
Sometimes I remember that like the rug paper was like $5, but you had to with the teacher that I had, at least, and I'm pretty sure you had the same one. You had to get you had to hand in 6 prints a week.
yeah,
per assignment per assignment, bitch. And she gave us so many assignments that eventually, like, and 6 prints is the ones that are clean, right? And you still need to do testing.
yeah.
So
It's
every
so
single
much work.
assignment, just to multiply 6 by 5, right? And then add on top of that the fact that you had to buy ink. And we like all pitched in on ink, at least, thank God, but still it was expensive. Like everyone had to like pitch in at least $25 just on ink. And then on top of all of that, like if every single week a class costs you about $100 and your class is 3 months long, like how, or 4, how many months is it?
It's
3,
yeah, I
right?
think it's
Like realistically speaking.
yeah,
Because I think that then there's like an exam period,
yeah.
right? So like 3 months, 3 by 4, 12 times that. So like it's like $1,200.
Yeah, it's actually fucked.
It was so expensive. I remember like that's actually the time when I was like going to Leo's a lot. Like, is that the name? I think it's Leon's or Leo's.
Leon's?
And to get Ilford paper and stuff like that. And I remember that I was like, it's so frustrating because like you buy a camera that's old, right? And like your teacher's like, you can buy any one of them. It's just $100, whatever. So I bought one, and then I kept on getting really overexposed films, overexposed pictures. And if you don't know anything about photography, overexposed is a lot worse than underexposed. Underexposed can be just like you can just light it up more in post in the lab. You can just use more light and it comes up.
Yeah.
But if you overexpose a picture, you're kind of fucked. Like there's not a lot of information left on the film, so you can't do anything with it, basically. And I was just like so frustrated because I was like, I can't do anything with this fucking camera. I was sure that it was something with my camera because I was using the light meter, and I don't know again if you guys are familiar, but light meter is just kind of it's just kind of like an old tool that you can use. It's used nowadays too, but honestly, with the way that digital is working, you can just take a picture and see whether it's
good or not,
like good exposure or not, and just like adjust it based on that. You don't need to fucking measure it, but you can if you want to, of course. In any case, I remember that I used like light meters and stuff like that to make sure that I'm not overexposing my images. And I was so frustrated about it because it's just so much fucking money. Every single film was like $36 or some shit like that. And then it would be all overexposed that I can't hand in anything. And I came up to my professor and I was like, dude, what the hell? Like, what is going on? Like, am I doing something wrong? So I explained to him how I'm doing it, and he's like, no, like that's technically correct, but then at the same time I don't think it's your camera, because he like just like looked at it, and I was like, how would you know? I was like, bitch, how would you know?
You just like looked at it.
You just looked at it. He didn't even open it or anything like that. He didn't try to like check the mechanisms of the camera.
Yeah.
He didn't even look at the meter inside the camera because it wasn't working, the meter itself, right?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, year 2 is so interesting because yeah, like you're spending so much money in it, and year 2 you're like dabbling in so like pretty much every medium, and it's good in a way because you figure out what medium you actually like kind of sticks with you, and like you kind of like feel like you want to explore more, I would say. Wait, did you do I guess I did digital photography because I knew I couldn't do film. I'm like, I ain't doing all that.
I did both film and digital photography. I did all the photography.
I do think second year was important though, especially for people with no technical skills, and like the students we always talk about who are pieces of shit and like try to get an easy A or use their money to like get by universities. Year 2 will humble you.
They still can do it though.
I know,
like, yeah,
but
I mean, the thing is, your grades will be low because you don't have any technical skills, but you will be able to afford mistakes.
Yeah,
I had no room for mistakes. So, like, for example, with the printing, our teacher was like, yeah, like rip up your paper. And the thing is, you have to do it all in the dark because the paper, if it's exposed once, it's fucked. Like, you can't use it anymore.
yeah.
So you're like standing there and you're ripping up the paper. You're ripping it up just so you can have like a little tiny like pieces of it, so you can expose on it and see if the exposure is right. Because otherwise, you're out of a whole paper that cost you $5.
Yeah.
Just because you tested it, and like you have to test it, otherwise you're gonna ruin the print. So it's like, it's just such a it was so frustrating.
Yeah, but I think it, I mean, if you're like a decent human being, I think it is like a really humbling experience. And also it really makes you think about like, wow, people who are, if this is your medium, you're working really, really hard at it.
Yeah, it gives you like a little bit of perspective of like also how like you're becoming more realistic about mediums in general.
I can't imagine people who fucking chose to do screen printing, like print. I don't understand. But it's funny because one of my best friends who went to art school, a different art school, his medium is print and he loves it. I'm like, I don't fucking understand that, respectfully. Like,
I don't get
it's so hard.
I don't, it's hard, but I think that honestly it's like if you just choose it as your medium, you're gonna pick it up and it's gonna be fine. It's not that hard to pick up. It's just I find it frustrating because their end result never feels justified to me.
Yeah, I'm like,
let's spend this much time, let's have this, because you need to have this machine, right? So you have to either have a membership to like some kind of place that has those machines available or whatever the hell, right? Yeah, like you have to have access to it, so it costs you money just to have access to. And it's like one of those things where I'm just sitting there like, okay, but at the end you just get this print, and yes, if you look really close you can see that it's like actually printed onto this rug paper and not digitally printed. But how much do you really give a fuck about that? Like that's how kind of like how I feel about it. Is just like it doesn't feel justified. Dude, I'm telling you, that year I was eating beans and that's it.
Yeah,
that was like, it was so bad. And the thing is, listen, I genuinely think like the most expensive part of trying any medium is the beginning, like buying, getting access, getting this and that. And then I think about it and I'm like, god damn, you guys, like technically speaking, if I go to a university and I'm paying for this class, this should be included.
Yeah, I agree. I never understood that.
What the hell do you mean? What the hell do you mean I have to spend? So like my class cost me $600, but my materials for this class are $1,200.
Yeah, it's like twice the price.
And that's the bare minimum. That was the bare minimum because I was literally trying to save on every single fucking thing.
I'm not gonna lie,
but you can't reuse rug paper because it's not a fucking canvas. You can't just like, you know, because we used to have this system back in the classes with like painting, for example.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I definitely stole
old canvases.
I definitely stole some shit.
Yeah, well,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I just could never get away with anything. By the way, since childhood, I can't get away with anything. Even cheating in terms of like just like in class, looking up one fucking answer somewhere, I would always get caught. I would always get, and even when I wasn't looking anywhere and someone else was cheating in the class or whatever, I would get like the teacher would be watching me like a hawk. It's like they always, I have like an untrustworthy,
An untrustworthy face.
I don't know what it is, bitch. It's just like people would always suspect me in like, that I'm doing something.
Yeah.
So I could never do anything. I remember it was so frustrating to me when I was like a kid because everyone was getting away with so much shit. And my friend was the type of person who was getting away with everything, where she could literally be like, oh, I'm gonna go and sneak this. And I'm like, Lena, I swear to fuck. Like, how is that possible? How are you getting away with this
The
shit?
only thing that was ever my problem was money. Honestly, with most of like the technical stuff in year two, like I feel like I've always been kind of good at that stuff. Like painting and drawing was always really natural to me. I thought I was going to go into painting for sure because that's what I grew up doing, right? But honestly, it's funny because like I saw this with a lot of people as well. Like a lot of people that I respected. Let's get that clear. There's people I didn't respect, so I don't give a fuck about what they do. But the people I did respect, when we were coming up together and learning what conceptual art really was, you saw a lot of people transition from what they thought they were going to do as a medium to things that were totally different. Like a lot of people started straying away from technical.
I thought I was going to be in photography. And then I got into installation art.
Yeah, but you know what's really crazy too is that the more I started to understand conceptual art, I was just immediately drawn to digital art. I started doing video, chopping up things, editing, maybe some people call internet art, I guess, but like a lot of that kind of thing. And then I got into AI and then I got to avatars, which is it's so ahead of its time. Okay.
I don't think it's AI technically, is it?
Well, I wasn't using AI, I was speaking to AI through my work.
Oh, that's what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was using.
I thought that you meant like the avatar. I was like, I thought that you rigged it yourself. So
no, yeah, I did animation and like all of
Mm-hmm.
that other stuff and rigging avatars and doing all that stuff, but because I never in a million years thought I was going to use digital as my medium. When I first started art, there was just no way. It wasn't even a fleeting thought. But it was funny because I think that the more I started understanding what conceptual art was, the more I was in tune with what was actually going on in terms of like culture. Do you know what I mean? I was nodding more.
Yeah, I feel like it's very much intertwined.
Yeah, because like before it was like, oh, I thought conceptual art was like, okay, me draw flower. Flower means this, you know? But like
that's exactly
the more like I actually really got into it, I was like, I want to talk about things that are relevant right now to me. And it was just naturally happening. All these social media platforms, everything going digital was like a huge thing back then. Well, back then is not even that long ago, but dude, we've been graduating.
But yeah, but it's long ago in terms of the speed of
Technology, right?
Even a year is like a big deal in terms of technology.
Yeah. So my medium ended up being digital art, which is crazy to me that it ended up being that way. Digital and installation, because installation was my very first artwork actually ever was an installation piece. And we should get into that, like what our first artworks were before we knew.
When was that?
My first year.
Your first year? I thought that you did like some art in high school.
Oh, we want to talk about that? I thought first year university.
No, I mean, honestly, first year university, we're also going to talk about that, but I just wanted to talk about your first attempt at an actual like artwork.
Oh, period.
And
okay.
then the first artwork where you were like, oh, actually this is an artwork. Maybe I like it, maybe I don't like it, but this is actual attempt at an art. Like your first attempt and your first actual attempt when you actually started to
understand
put pieces together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's really hard because my dad is a painter and a drawer. He's the one who really taught me, so I was doing it really young. Honestly, my first artwork that I was probably conscious of, like that I can remember. Oh, this is hard because like, do you mean like how young? You know, like high school maybe?
See, that's the thing. So, for example, like I haven't done art before university in the way I'm making an artwork. However, and also I remember that I went to like some drawing classes when I was 6 when I just went into first year of school.
Yeah.
I got like bullied by my teachers so bad that I like didn't show up for any more classes. Like basically I just went for one class and then I dropped it.
Yeah, that's so weird because I had something similar to that.
Yeah, isn't it weird? Like adults are really strange about art.
Yeah.
Adults that are supposed to be like getting you into this world oftentimes are really, really strange about it. At least it's like that in Europe, and with European teachers, they're so harsh right at the get-go, where it's like, I don't even know if I want to do this. Why are you screaming at me to be better? Like I don't even know if I want to be doing this, let alone be better at it.
Okay.
Like, can you let me live? I'm 6.
I would say then that my first artwork, probably that I would consider my first attempt at an artwork, would probably be in high school then, because we had dedicated art classes. When you're in that environment,
when you were like, I'm an artist right now, like I'm trying to be an artist kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. In high school. It's interesting though, because there's so many bad teachers in high school, to be honest, especially when you're doing those programs like home ec, arts, whatever, film. It's always like teachers who are kind of like not that versed in it, but are like, I can draw a bit.
Yeah.
I was really lucky because I had a really, really good teacher for my art class in high school. The project that I really remember the most, and I think it's more technical than anything, I don't really think it was that conceptual, was she showed us that painting, and I forgot, was it Manet? I don't know. It might have been Manet, but it was like Girl in the White Dress, and it was a Victorian. Yeah. Was it Manet?
Yeah, it's probably Monet.
Not Manet. Okay.
Probably. Based on like the style of artwork, I think it's Monet.
Okay. Yeah. She made us do this project where we had to do a painting. The main focus was something white, but we weren't allowed to touch the white paint. It had to come off as white, but we weren't allowed to use white at all. And like, for me, that was the first artwork that I can remember that really challenged my way of thinking, like just at least my brain in a technical way, because that was the first time I really understood like, oh, white is kind of like, using pure white is very taboo in painting. Like no one really does that.
Dude, that's literally the same for me. It was filled with, you need to make something that is black without using black.
Yeah, like,
and I was like, what the fuck?
Like using like pure black and pure white in painting
is not normal.
Is not really normal. But it's funny though, because like when I got to university, I was kind of like, yo, fuck them. I would do paintings, like portraits, where the background was always pure black, and then all the highlights were always pure white, because I was like, yeah, fuck it, I don't care about following rules. And like that kind of became a staple for me after in university. And I still paint portraits. Like I'll do commissions, or like I'll like do gifts for people. Yeah, that was probably the first time I felt I'm learning about art, you know. And also
it like felt like a thing.
Yeah,
like it's an actual skill instead of just like a thing that you just practice and that's it.
Yeah,
but you don't really like mentally kind of
and also
challenge.
Yeah, and
yourself.
Also like, she really started teaching us about art history and the importance of it too. And my art classes before that teacher, because I had another teacher before her, was just like, do whatever you want, you know. It's kind of more like arts and crafts, which there's nothing wrong with that, but this was the first time I felt,
but it's different.
It is different. This is the first time I felt like, oh, like I'm doing art.
And then the first one that was actually conceptual
was probably
it could be bad too. But
it was like, shit, I would never fucking do this again. But did I eat with doing an because like I said before, my body of work, when I graduated, I was known to do digital and installation together. It was funny though, because my first artwork in first year, where I felt like, oh, this is actually a lot more conceptual, when I started to like kind of understand it, you know, because my first couple works were still a little bit like, this is probably my third work I ever made actually in university, because I had Matt. I don't know if you had Matt. Have you ever had Matt as a TA?
I think I did.
With glasses?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a very cerebral guy. I actually really loved him as a teacher, because...
Me too. Because he actually got my... You know what? His feedback made me more aware of like me actually stepping somewhere in a good direction, because before I would kind of feel like everyone got the same feedback. Like it was either like, okay, you should think more about it, or okay, this is pretty good, or whatever the hell. Like it was very like lukewarm with a lot of TAs and with a lot of professors. Like it felt like they didn't really give a fuck, which it makes sense because the artworks are shit the first year, like I understand. But you're also, that's kind of like you're paid to give us feedback so we could become better, because we don't know what the fuck is going on. Like that's the whole kind of point, you know. And I remember Matt actually, like I was gonna talk about an artwork today that Matt actually talked about with me. So continue, but I will. He's gonna be the
bridging arc. Dude. And it's funny, we should just leave his name in, because Matt, I could tell who had Matt in their first year and who didn't. because he was actually like an excellent teacher. And I think he ended up doing his master's to teach. But anyways, he was an excellent
really?
teacher. Like,
I don't know what he's up to. I don't know like where he
I saw his
went, honestly,
graduating.
after.
I saw his master's degree graduating show. It was cool. He was like the first one to really, because my first 2 works were definitely technically based, and it was impressive to a lot of people because it was technically good. But he was like out loud was like, this is just technically good. You know, and like it kind of made me feel like upset, but then we ended up talking later, and it was like the first time where I really felt like, yeah, like what is this speaking to? It just like the value of it comes from like the people being like, oh, like that's so good, looks good, but it had no substance. And I never had like, he was so just like blunt about it, but not mean, not cruel, you know?
Yeah, he wasn't like those teachers who were kind of, had a few people who were very much like stuck in illustration, which isn't wrong per se, but they were like very much illustration. That's the only thing I give a fuck about. And I remember that he was the only one who could talk to that without being like, this is shit.
Yeah, like a
kind of like how
dick.
other professors were.
Yeah,
because professors were usually, this is some anime bullshit, like fuck you kind of thing.
Yeah,
like what,
I
you know,
wasn't
like what I
doing
mean,
all
like
that,
to those
but
people. Yeah. No, I know that you weren't, but I just know we had a few people who were like that. And I remember that in that class, it felt like he was actually trying to see what they see in it and kind of guiding that instead of being like.
And I learned, he gave me so many really good, like he gave me a lot of really good references and things to read that I felt was really beneficial, definitely changed the way I thought about art. And so like the first artwork, by no means was it good. It was it's so cringe to think about now, but like he was like, yeah, you know what, it's not there yet, but you're starting to understand conceptual art a little bit more and more. Like he could see it, that I was trying, and I was definitely putting in effort, but it was an installation piece, and it was like a vintage TV, one of those small cube chunky ass TVs, which this was the hardest part, is I wanted to play a childhood movie that I used to watch that was kind of like a fever dream to me. If anyone knows this movie called Little Nemo, not the fish, if anyone knows what I'm talking about, it's the guy, like,
one of those like bootleg animations that are trying to like yeah.
Like if you couldn't afford Disney, you know what I mean? If anyone knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah. It's kind of like a movie that Danny Gonzalez would make a video on.
Yes. If anyone knows what I'm talking about, put it down in the comments if you know that movie. So it was like, I edited the video so that it would glitch, like it'd keep repeating the same part, so it'd play smoothly and then it would be like, and then it would repeat on a vintage TV, which was the hardest part, to figure out how to get a USB stick to play on an old TV. I was so dumb. I'm like, I don't how the fuck do you do this? I made it work somehow. And then in front of it I put 2 car seats, not a baby car seat, like literal seats from a old car, like so like you could sit in it. And then
I feel like I saw it, bitch.
Did you
put it in that building that had offices for teachers, for professors upstairs?
Yeah. The old one, right? What was it? What building that was
What?
that?
No, actually, what is it called? Something?
Somerset.
Somerset, something
building.
like that. Was that in that building? Because I think I saw it.
It's old. It was interesting because I think with that work, it's still very symbolic, honestly, because a lot of it was talking about my own tumultuous childhood, you know, so it wasn't very like, it wasn't speaking to anything that was like,
dude, that's so my first installation too.
I think a lot of it, because like I think when you're young like that and you're a young artist, you think about topics like, or like trying to understand current events,
the impact of it, in your life, the connections,
like how to like how it reflects how you choose to lead your life, you know, what your stance is on something as big as like the world in society. So you tend to like swoop it down to something that's more sentimental. I think you see that a lot in first year, where a lot of sentimental art, where it's like you're starting to think about what things mean to you and stuff like that, but it's very like condensed to your own life. So I was thinking about that a lot. I think it was like the whole thing with the car seat and like watching the same movie, was the really shitty TV and stuff like that, was a lot about like how I grew up not with a lot of money, watching the same thing over and over and over again. because we couldn't really like do anything else, and then also just always moving around. I had a song in the background that I really loved at the time playing in the background, and it was interesting to see like people, that was the first time we had a critique, like a real critique, the first time where I felt like, wow, it's cool to see like this is so intimate to me. No one would understand what this means to me because it's too personal when I made it. But then hearing other people like have their own thoughts about it, that's when it really clicked for me, like what conceptual art was. Because I'm like, wait a second, what if I just talked about wealth disparity instead of like my personal issues with memories? Like I could still talk about how I grew up really in the shitters, but what if I talked about it in a wider way?
Yeah, because the thing is, like, I kind of had the same thing with like the first installation I did kind of like a little fort type of thing out of see-through type of material, and I put on a projector that was playing a video that I found that really upset me when I found it. It's like a video of when I was maybe 6 years old, and I was made to watch after this 2-year-old at this little hut in the middle of Siberia. Like we were with my dad for a couple of days, and he brought us there because he wanted to hang out with his friends, and they went out to get some pozi, which is like this kind of like steam buns that are like that Chinese people have. It's kind of like similar. So they were going there, and I remember I was like really upset about being in the middle of the fucking Siberian, like in the middle of taiga, in this weird hut alone with some other child that I'm supposed to be watching after when I'm 6 years old. So I remember like yeah, like it literally pissed me off so much, and I forgot about it. And then I watched that video, and especially there's like a part where I'm reading to that child, and they're like filming it, and I'm like reading it to this little girl, and then I'm looking at my dad, and you can see how much I want his approval, and how much I want him to like notice how much I'm trying to help and whatever. And it's made me so sad for my little self. Everyone's like switched their attention to the littlest one in there, and even though he's my dad, he's like one of those people who only think that babies are cute, and as soon as you're not a baby, you lose all attention and all support and everything, and you become a mummy because you're a girl, so now you're supposed to be cleaning up after grown men at the age of 6. And I just remember all of that like pissed me off so much, and I saw that video and I put it on the projector there. Technically speaking, now that I think about it, it's kind of a good artwork, but I didn't even understand that it was good, because to me it was again coming from that memory place where I'm just trying to understand the concept of memory and why I even forgot a whole chunk of that. Like I did not remember it, but then as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh holy fuck, I remember all of the things that happened that day.
Dude.
But like I kind of forgot that it happened.
Yeah, that sounds like actually a great project.
Yeah, and I was always, I always thought about, like, I wanted to specifically think about memories, so I made printouts of different types of achievement papers, kind of like awards and whatever that they give you for getting like straight A's or something like that. Printed it out. And they were all like not from when I was 6, but from like my entire childhood to adulthood, like all of those, oh, you got straight A's for 12 years or whatever the hell in school, like that kind of shit. Glitched them out, made some words skip in it or whatever, and I put them all out in the fort with a bunch of clues and a bunch of little like notes on it and whatever, as if I'm trying to piece it together. And I can't quite remember some parts, but it's so weird because like so much achievement that technically doesn't amount to anything. Oh, you were excellent at being a child, but what fucking for? Kind of like, what were you like trying so hard for? Technically speaking, now I like when I look back at it, that's low-key a good artwork, but I did not get it back then myself. Because I was genuinely thinking about it just as a memory thing and just trying to work through the fact, why is this video, like it pissed me off so much I cried when I found it. And it's like, why did it piss you off so much? It's just you reading to a child. But then I realized that like all of those things of becoming an adult so early because you're a woman in a society that's so patriarchal, them seeing you as someone who's supposed to take care of their children even though they're adults, but you are a child. I was 6. Like this is not even like an exaggeration,
That reminds me of like the first artwork where I got an A in first year was also about my dad. What the fuck? This artwork was like so interesting to me because I actually hated it, and my mom still has it in our house. I kind of want to get it from her because I actually like it now as an adult, but my dad's really traditional about beauty standards and the role of women and all this other stuff, and it was always like a point of contention growing up because obviously not straight, didn't look the most feminine, like I wasn't really into that aesthetic for a long time. Like I now I just like if I want to look feminine, I look feminine. If I don't want to look feminine, I don't. So it doesn't matter to me. But back then, I was starting to get into, I had like a phase of like just wanting to dress not feminine. And I was getting like a bunch of tattoos and piercings and stuff like that, and like doing fucked up shit to my hair and whatever. And my dad really hated it. He got so mad. He would get so mad if I were to cut my hair and do anything like that. Because I had hair, super long hair to my ass. He's like, yeah, you look ugly. And I remember doing this artwork where this is when my parents, like, when they finally split up, and my dad was like really toxic at this point, like just like a fucking extreme alcoholic and just like crazy. So when we finally like moved away from him, I remember like I was, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna cut my hair, I'm gonna get a boy cut, like a pixie cut. I was like, fuck it, whatever. Like, I'm just gonna do it because like fuck you know what I mean? Well, actually, rewind, I was doing this art project. I was getting so fucking frustrated. Like, I'm like, fuck this shit, I hate this artwork that I'm doing, it's so ass. Like, I actually like got so like manic. I think I was actually going through an episode, not gonna lie. Like, I like fucking threw it and dramatic in a movie, tossed all the shit to the floor. I'm like, fuck this shit. So instead, what I did, because mind you guys, it's 3 a.m. I have class at 9. My project's due at 9, okay? Last minute, I was like, okay, what the fuck am I gonna do? And I had got into like a fight with a couple of my friends who came over and my dad, because my dad doesn't like seeing any boys in the house, and I told them not to bring their boyfriends, and they did. And guess who got the brunt of it? Not them, fucking me, okay?
Yeah.
So what I ended up doing was I had raw canvas and I put it on the floor and I dipped my hair up to my ass, okay, into India ink, and I slept on the floor with on the canvas like at my head. I woke up. I was like so frustrated, dude. I was going through literally mania. I was like, like, you know, like just going wild. Like, I was just like annoyed. I'm like, I'm gonna fail this class. Fuck art school. I'm wasting all this money. Fuck my dad. Fuck my mom. Like, fuck everybody. And then I stretched the canvas with the ink on it, and I was like, whatever, I'm gonna fucking hand this in, I don't give a fuck. And then I cut my hair in the bathtub because I was trying to wash out the ink and it wouldn't, just running black for the longest time. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna cut it off. And I cut it all off. Like, I was actually going, like, that sounds fucking chaotic. And then and what time was it? I think it was like 6 a.m. at this point, and my class was at 9. So then from 6 to like 8:30 probably, I was writing my artist statement, which had to be like a couple pages, okay?
Of course, as per usual.
So I was writing it. To be honest, I didn't even give a fuck. Like, I didn't write anything about, oh, in reference to blah 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 blah. No, I just like wrote actually what happened and what I was feeling, and I got an A on that fucking artwork. She literally told me to like come meet her after. She's like, yo, this is, and
she was like, you're losing it, but I love it.
Yeah, no, seriously, in not verbatim, but she was like, that shit was crazy, but she's like, your shit was crazy, but you were so present in this work, really real, essentially is what she said. And I was like, fuck, she said, man,
you're so real for that, actually.
Yeah, she was like, literally,
that
like,
was her feedback.
She was like, you're so real for that, because like my art statement was so angry. It was like, fuck my dad, blah 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 blah, but then it went into like, fuck the patriarchy, blah blah blah, and it's like, it was like personal to me, but it was definitely a reflection of like my stance on society.
Yeah.
It was like, without me knowing, it was a good piece of work, you know?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. That's the funniest part, is that like when you're starting to get what conceptual art is about, but you're so still like new to it that you do not understand a lot of the references or anything. Like, you're not as cerebral about it as you're going to become, because it's going to become your academic work. Before it's academic, it's memory. Before it's academic, it's very sensory. Before it's academic, it's very much like all of those things. That's why I understand when one of our, I don't remember who it was, but it was one of the professors who was like, keep all of your sketchbooks and all of your research from your first like few years in the arts, because you think it's stupid now. For a moment there, you're gonna think that after you're done with university, because you're gonna be like, I learned so much that this seems like so rudimentary to me now. But then when you're older, you're gonna want to reconnect to that feeling before you became so obsessed with academic success and with academic understanding of you or whatever the hell, that you're gonna want to go back and see what it was before, what actually made you want to do it in the beginning, because you're gonna have this pool of ideas that are gonna still speak to you, which seems strange because you're gonna change so much, but they're still gonna speak to you. And we need to talk about it more, because I want to specifically talk about like our early works, because it's so interesting to me how it's kind of like the same thing as me going back to my diary, to this online thing that I had when I was like 11, from the ages of 8 to maybe 14. I had like an online blog or whatever, and going back to it and reading it and being like, I saw like I wrote poetry there and stuff like that too, bitch. And I like read it and I was like, why you sad like that? God damn, like aren't you 11? Like what the fuck is going on, first of all? And second of all, I remember that reading it, some of it, because I was expecting to be so much more mature, or not even mature, but I was kind of expecting a really big gap between me now and me then. And then you go there and you're like, all right, child, maybe slow down over there, you know, like I'm just like so like concerned for my own damn self there. And then I was like talking to my grandma about it, and she was like, back then I thought you just read this shit somewhere and you were just parroting it, basically just like repeating whatever, and that's why I got in trouble so much when I was like younger about my beliefs and whatever. And then she's like, if I only knew that you actually are just like that, because like now I talk to you and I'm like, this bitch was like that from the beginning.
Yeah, from the beginning. Yeah.
And I find it really interesting to see like bad and good artworks that you make in the beginning of your art pursuits, where it's like so interesting because you were making it from the same type of place, technically speaking, but some of it turns out so much better than other stuff.
Yeah.
And you're like, why the fuck was this so ass? But then this is suddenly so good.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck happened there?
It's kind of fun. It's interesting too, because I remember we were talking about this like off camera, about looking back at our old sketchbooks and stuff like that. And I actually did also keep mine, which was a genius thing that I did, because I never keep anything, because I'm like, now I'm like the opposite of sentimental. Like I'll be throwing shit out, respectfully, but I kept it, and I'm like reading, I was like going through it, like not too long ago in 2024, the end of 2024 for sure. I remember being at my mom's place and like going through it, and I was like, wow, some of these ideas I had when I was younger, the core of it is so pure. It's still a lot of the shit that I think about and talk about in my work today, but I just didn't know how to translate it in a way that was impactful, but now I do. So it's like, it's nice to see your ideas untainted by, you know, going to school and like other people's perception or ideas about what art is. It's nice to see it in that way, when it's like just very naive. I don't know, at least I enjoy it, like looking back, what a stupid girl, but also she like went through some shit and she was thinking.
I don't know, every time I go back I expect to be like, what a super girl.
Yeah.
And every time I go back I'm like, she got a point. She kind of ate, actually. You know what? Like every time I do it, I'm like, yeah. Like some of my entries, I mean, in the journal are like dramatic. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, bitch, like calm down, you know. Yeah. But in general, reading some ideas or whatever the hell, she kind of ate. Actually, that's actually a good point.
It's actually really funny too, because when I mean like, oh, what a stupid girl, it's because I would have like pee pee poo poo doo-doo shit like just doodled on the corner, and then right below it will be like a entry, and it'll be like, today so and so, like a teacher commented on my collage and said that it was too obviously talking about colonization and war and the disparity and social and cultural killing that happen when soldiers come into a different country, and he said it was too obvious. And then it would be like, I don't get why he's saying that. Like, it's pretty straight up, this is what they're doing. Like, stupid shit like that.
No, I'm just like trying to show it the way that it is. Like, and like, what are you talking about?
Literally that.
Okay. Just let me good talk. We'll talk more. We're gonna talk more about early artworks next time too.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk more specifics of artworks that we worked on and how we got inspired, or like how we arrived to them, if it's a good or a bad work, what kind of critiques we would give ourselves. And also I want to talk about math more, because we had this talk that actually did so much for my art practice and for me to actually like understand what the fuck is going on, which I think would be beneficial for people who are starting out, or even just for people who are in the arts for a long time. Sometimes it's good to talk about these things. Like I love talking about this shit anyway, even though I've been in it for
I don't think it excludes people who have been in it already. I think it's just good advice in general. Sometimes you gotta revert back to as if you were first year to feel reinvigorated, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for listening.
Anyway,
Bye.
bye guys.